Hey guys, Denzel here again, Compost Quarter. Same day I got the shed, and there's something else I wanted to show for you. I told you earlier I had another surprise for you, and what it is another 1,000 composting worms. So originally we ordered the 250, and I just fed them and checked their bin about 5 days ago, and I found such a stupendous number of baby worms. They're probably the size of they're tiny, and they're so thin you can barely see them, but all throughout that mixture that I prepared, they're breeding, and they're breeding a lot, prolifically. So I figured I'm doing something right. Let's go ahead and double down, or in this case quadruple down, and let's go ahead and get this composting worm setup going. So 1,000 worms are going in the bin today. They just arrived about an hour ago. They've been in the cool AC, and we're gonna go ahead, wet down the bedding. We're gonna wring it out and add a fresh layer in there, and then we're gonna add the worms. So I'll take you guys along for the ride. Here's the food. We're gonna keep that covered. Learn from my mistake the first time. Add some water to it. Ooh, that's awful. All right, this is all. There we go. All right. So I'll meet you down there. Mosquitos are attacking me. Okay, so in my experience now, what little experience I have, I think I've done just about everything wrong. Having researched things beforehand and still managing to mess up every step because sometimes I'm like that. I generally try to do research on things and not just go into it blind. I might as well have gone into it blind because I've messed up almost every step of this, but we're gonna correct that mistake today. So 1,000 worms over there on the table. They're about to go in here. You'll see I pulled out all this cardboard. Big old mosquito. Eesh. Pulled out all this cardboard and pulled out all of this old brown paper that I had on there. That was kind of a mistake. They can get trapped in the layers. They might not be able to make it back to the soil when it heats up for any number of reasons. Putting something like that that's like a labyrinth on top of where they're supposed to be, not a good idea, because worms like to move freely through the layers, and if they move freely up and they can't move freely down, that's a problem. So probably going to lose a few individuals, but they'll have to live on the outside, and hopefully they'll make their way back in. I am going to pick the ones off that I can find, but again, who knows how many are trapped in all these layers, and I simply don't have the time today to go through those layers, so we'll see. All right, 1,000 worms. Definitely a lot heavier than 250. Let's just make sure they're all there. Yep, that's about 1,000. Gotcha. Oh, they come right out. So easy. Fantastic. It's almost like they know they don't live in a bag. All right, I'm gonna find as many individuals as I can. Try to save them. None. There's one. Boom. Gone. All right. Now it's time to cover them up. Oh, let's put the food in first. And get that covered up. I can guarantee you, about 5 seconds after that food is in there, the flies start coming out. It's almost like the mosquitoes can hear me, but they can't see me. It's kind of weird. They're like hovering an inch or so over my arm, and they just won't land. I guess that's what repellent does. One more bucket. Flies are here. Hey guys, so as you can see, some of you worm people, some of you people who are very accustomed to doing this and very also just very observant. Sometimes I feel like I'm not too observant. Today I wasn't. With the worms, you'll notice I started throwing in bedding and I thought, oh crap, I'm supposed to feed them first. Well, then I just throw the food in and I'm like, as I did it, I thought to myself, oh no, I was supposed to bury that food so the flies don't come. And the flies are already around me after I throw it in, and I'm thinking, or before I throw it in, they're already buzzing. So I'm thinking to myself, man, I better make sure I bury this food properly. Well, I didn't. So, no big deal. I pivot, I adjust, I run inside, I fill up another bucket full of the fresh cardboard. Nicely ground. I wet it. I made sure it was nice and soft. I kind of ripped it open and pulled it up. So they're cool. Actually, by the time I came back out, you know, I covered it before I went in. When I come back out, all the flies are gone. So I'm thinking, you know, false alarm, but let that be a lesson for you guys. I'm perfectly fine with messing up every single thing I do as long as I get it right in the end. But that being said, the next time I go to feed these worms, especially with that fresh 1000 in there, I had better make sure I bury that food first. Clear out the old stuff, bury that food with the old stuff, add new layers. I shouldn't be making the same mistakes again. So that's going to be a pillar of this channel, is to not make the same mistakes. Yeah, that's just part of being human. That's part of growing and learning. If you keep making the same mistakes, you got to slow down, think about what you're doing. But yeah, I'm figuring it out. It's been really fun. I hope you guys are enjoying watching the videos. You've probably seen 3 or 4 iterations of this worm bin. It went from being over here to over there to being half buried to being full buried, and it's going to stay full buried until, let's see here, until this bad boy has a little bit of insulation in it and I can figure out a way to keep it cooler during the day. If I can keep the shed at about 90, that means the worms should be in the 80s, preferably low 80s. Even right now, it's not too hot, but I know inside a metal building, it's pretty much shut up all day, it's gonna get hot. So I'm gonna figure out some sort of ventilation or cooling for it. Something simple, nothing that's gonna take up too much electricity. As you can see behind me, there's a big storm rolling in, so I'll take that as a sign to go inside. It's been fun. Thank you for watching. I'm Denzel, and this is Compost Quarter. Peace.